This is the special edition director's cut of The April Ghost.
Being that it is April and all. Now Ian and I both wanted to figure out what this phenomenon known as ghosts really was.
Is Victoria really haunted? And what type of people really believe in these anomalies?
Our research led us to Mr. John Adams, who owns and operates a local ghostly tours in downtown Victoria. Now, although we didn't see ghosts ourselves during the filming of this documentary, some of the things that happened led us to believe that they were there.
So sit back, enjoy, and we hope you learned something.
Well, Victoria is the most haunted place in British Columbia. And my name is John Adams. I've been collecting ghost stories from Victoria for the past 25 years, and I'm still collecting lots of them. I'm a historian, and I became interested in ghosts through my history. I wasn't interested in ghosts at first, but soon discovered that there were lots of ghost stories in Victoria, and I began looking into them and realized that we are really the most haunted city in British Columbia. Why? Well, there are many reasons. Ghosts are a form of energy, and wherever people have lived and died, that energy is going to remain behind. Of course, people have lived and died all over the world, but in some places, like Victoria, we have certain configurations of the natural environment, the salt water, the bedrock under the city, the mountains and hills, and even the spring water under the city. All of these things help hold the energy here, the energy left after people have died. One of those places was at Laurel Point. The Laurel Point Inn stands on the site today, and the staff and many guests know that the place is haunted. The Maritime Museum, the old courthouse, built in 1889, is the most haunted building of all. People see the ghost of Sir Matthew Beatty Begbie, the hanging judge. Tall man, wearing his black judge's robes and sometimes wearing his judge's wig with his mustache and goatee, gliding down the stairway. Another similar place is in Helmcken Alley. Helmcken Alley is very close to Bastion Square. And there's a small corner of Helmcken Alley where there's a negative vortex. What happens now as people walk through is they feel something. They feel almost as though their energy is being drained away from them. Old hotels seem to be very haunted places, we believe, because there's so many people that have passed through. See, ghosts don't like change. And sometimes when there is change in their life or their afterlife, they come back. The most famous ghost in Victoria, perhaps the most famous ghost in all of British Columbia, is at the Victoria Golf Course on Beach Drive in Oak Bay. Doris Gravelin is her name. She was a nurse in private practice in Victoria. She had married Victor Gravelin, who was a sports reporter for the Colonist newspaper, and they'd had a child. But Victor drank too much, and Doris had left him. He wanted to get back together, and so they did talk it over one night in September 1936. We don't know exactly where they met, but they met in the evening and walked through the streets of Oak Bay. Perhaps they had an argument. We don't know exactly, but Victor strangled her and dragged her lifeless body across the 7th fairway and down to the beach and hid her body under some logs, where she was found 5 days later by a caddy. Victor's body was found a month later floating in the kelp beds off the golf course. We're not aware that Victor has come back as a ghost, but Doris certainly has. She appears as a figure in white. Some say it might be a wedding dress. It's more likely her nurse's uniform. But she appears very suddenly and runs right straight for people very, very quickly, as ghosts often do, and then veers away very sharply before actually getting to you. Sometimes she runs circles around terrified people, and sometimes she flies right over people as she follows them along the golf course. Doris Gravelin is said sometimes to be the April ghost. That's really a misnomer because she appears in every month of the year. And it doesn't really help to ring the bell or go on a night of a full moon. It's kind of fun to do that. It's one of the myths in Victoria. Doris is there whether we ring the bell or not, every month of the year. Now, some people may not believe in ghosts, but most people like a good ghost story. I'm always collecting more. I will continue to collect more because there's no shortage of material here in Victoria. From ancient times, when the native people were the only ones living here, through the days of Fort Victoria to the gold rush to the present day. Ghosts are happening even now.